Let's bring in MS Now legal affairs reporter Fallon Gallagher outside that courthouse. We're also joined by MS Now international affairs analyst, former U.S. ambassador to Venezuela, James Story. Fallon, bring us the very latest from inside that courtroom as this hearing gets underway. What are Maduro's lawyers arguing today?
Yeah, Anna, first I just want to briefly draw your attention to the fact that protests both for and against Nicolas Maduro have gained in size in the last hour outside of court. But inside, both Nicolas Maduro and his wife, Cilia Flores, are making their second appearance in federal court in front of Judge Alvin Hellerstein. Now, today was supposed to be just a routine status conference. They were supposed to discuss things like the status of the case, what's developed since they made their last appearance here in January, things like pretrial motions and maybe even setting a trial date. But things have changed a little bit because we learned from Nicolas Maduro's lawyer that Maduro and Cilia Flores are unable to pay their legal fees. Now, that's because the U.S. government has sanctions against Venezuela, and so they can't just cut a check to their lawyers like a normal criminal defendant would. Instead, they need a special license from the Treasury Department that the U.S. government has not granted. So they are making the case that the federal government is actually interfering with his ability to defend himself. And so that is the main point of conversation that we expect during today's hearing, as it has just started. The judge is going to have to figure out this rather thorny issue because, of course, Nicolas Maduro is entitled to defense counsel. And so the judge is going to have to figure out how they'll be able to proceed here and whether or not he'll be able to pay those fees before they can really move forward with determining those pretrial motions and setting any sort of a date to get this trial really going. Anna?
Fallon Gallagher, thank you. Please keep us posted as you learn more about what's happening in this hearing. Ambassador, Maduro has been sitting in this jail cell now for over 2 months. He's claimed that he is a prisoner of war and that it was an illegal abduction. I wonder, how do Venezuelans feel and how closely are they watching these developments?
Well, I think everybody is watching this very closely. The vast majority of Venezuelans are delighted to see him in jail. Unfortunately, they're also dismayed that his former vice president is now occupying the seat of power in Miraflores. So I think there are a number of questions here that just were raised. You have Delcy Rodriguez in Florida actively courting investment in the country, and you have licenses for investment at the same time using the same exact licenses to block Maduro's access to legal counsel. And it's a big question about recognition. And if he's recognized as the president of Venezuela, if the state of Venezuela then affords him his defense, that creates a whole bunch of international legal issues as well.
Ambassador, what is your assessment of the current situation in Venezuela? Is it any more stable? Is life any better for the people of Venezuela?
So I guess you have two different questions, right? Is it stable? I guess it's stable, but it's stable in the same exact way that it was stable before, Anna. You had the exact same group of people in power. And I'll give you an example. You've taken González López, who used to be the head of the secret police, and placed him over in charge of the military. People are excited that Vladimir Pergino López, former head of the military, is gone, someone who was indicted on the SDN list and had a price for his capture. But now you have an equally, probably worse person leading the military. Meanwhile, human rights defenders such as Javier Tarazona are not being granted amnesty, somebody who merely pointed out the abuses of the regime. So you would hope that there would be a parallel track of economic opening and human rights and democracy opening, but we don't see that. What we're seeing is a lot of work, a lot of people traveling down there, including the Senate Foreign Relations Chair, Senator Risch and his team, to meet with these people and talk about economic openings, multiple secretaries, but nobody's really hitting on the issue of democracy, human rights, and allowing for people to exercise their own voice.
You mentioned Delcy Rodriguez taking over as the interim president of Venezuela. She's somebody that the U.S. has said they believe they can work with. Is she now essentially a puppet of the U.S.?
Well, she certainly has no derivative legitimacy. The election in July of 2024 was obviously stolen by Maduro, so her position as vice president is illegitimate. Now, this is a political decision by our government to say we can work with her. I think the biggest problem, the biggest issue, I'd say, that we need to address is at what point can we start the process to call for new elections? How do we help reinstitutionalize the country? So, yeah, and in a short answer to your question, yes, she's working with the United States. But I think she's working with the United States up to the midterms. After that, I really don't think that their intention is to relinquish power through a free and fair election.